Hello, my name is Morel K. Jackson, but you can call me Jack for short. Counting today and the day of, it is officially 9 days until I go to see the Terrible Influence Tour for the first time in Oakland, and I am so excited. If you don't know, I am uploading a video every day within those 10 days to count down to when I go see the tour. And today is day 2 of me uploading every day. I'm sure you are wondering why the setup is slightly different today and why you are so much closer to my face. Additionally, apologies if I go slightly cross-eyed during this video. I wore my glasses today, but I didn't want the reflection of the ring light to be in them, so I just took them off. So I can't see right now. I can if I get this close. It's gonna be a shorter video today where I just sort of talk about a particular topic that I've been thinking about lately and that I wanted to bring up, especially today. So I put together a little slideshow for you that I will present on my laptop here in order to cut down on editing time, because you can still see it from here. Like, this is totally fine, right? And the topic that I will be covering today with my slideshow that I made for you is, of course, the pros and cons of Phannieism. I didn't know what to put as the background, so I just put the old bedsheet colors because, I don't know, it's related to them, but it's not like busy, you know? Anyway, we are here today to discuss the true pros and cons of being in the fandom, or being a Phannie, as this title will imply, which I'm sure you guessed by reading the title of the video already, because you're smart and you don't just click on videos randomly. Anyway, let's get into the pros. I think there are quite a few of these, actually. There are quite a few valuable things that come from being a part of this little group of strange individuals that we have here. Number one, we have community. Now, this one seems quite obvious. I mean, you know that if you are a part of the fandom, there will always be other people who will have your back. There are always people that you can talk to. There are always going to be people who are just as weird and nerdy as you are. Are you neurodivergent? Well, there's a bunch of other people like that too. Are you gay? There's a bunch of other people like that here too. Are you just generally of an angsty demeanor? Well, guess what? We were all like that too. Some of us are still like that and never grew out of our teen angst, but you know, it's fine. But community is probably the number one thing that I would say is an absolute pro. We're a very close-knit community, and there will absolutely always be people that you can talk to, not even just about this thing that we're all interested in. We're all kind of weird for, so you know, no judgment. Or at least there shouldn't be. But there's always going to be people that you can talk to about anything, really. Because related to that, number two, the next pro is friends. I've made friends through the fandom, and I'm sure that you have as well. Specifically, you, the person watching this right now. Jessica. I don't know who Jessica is. But it's very easy to make friends. Like I said, we all have things in common, literally. If nothing else, just the fact that we really like these two YouTubers. So it's very easy to make friends because you'll find a lot of people that you'll pretty easily get along with. Pro number three, we have entertainment. Of course, that's the main thing here. There is literally so much lore and such a huge backlog of content that you will be entertained forever. I recently saw a playlist that someone made. I forgot who it was, but I saw a playlist someone made of literally every single Dan and Phil video that is like available on the internet in chronological order, including like deleted videos and collabs on other people's channels, even if they appear in 2 seconds in like a different video, Instagram stories, even live shows, like literally all of it in order. And I'm like, I think this would take 20 years to watch. And it's only been 15. You certainly have a lot of entertainment to look forward to. Am I advertising the fandom right now? Am I advertising watching Dan and Phil's videos? Maybe. Tell me if you're convinced. But obviously one of the biggest things is like, this is all surrounding YouTube videos, so you have plenty of those to watch, and it's free. Big plus there. Pro number four is something to obsess over. If you are like me and have a brain that can only function by having something to obsess over, then this is perfect for you. Because things like archiving and collecting information and teaching that information to other people and making lists and spreadsheets and very long Google documents is such a huge part of fandom culture, for better or for worse, that if you are into that kind of like research and falling into rabbit holes and just acquiring literally all of the knowledge you possibly can about something you're interested in, like I am, as well as like archiving and looking into the history of something really niche that really only you and other people who are equally as nerdy as you care about, then yeah, that's a huge pro. I absolutely tend to obsess in that sort of way, so really this is the perfect place for me. And then last but not least, number 5 on the list of pros on this slide is the ability to embrace my past instead of cringing at it. The opportunity to be kind to my younger self and thus learn how to be kinder to myself now. See, this is a topic that I've just been thinking a lot about lately anyway, and it really started with the like reacting to Phil Is Not on Fire series. I really feel like that was a turning point in the gaming channel. I've mentioned this in my like Tit Tour predictions video as well. But the point I'm making here is that the very idea of like, we're not going to cringe at this, even if someone could describe it as cringe, even if it is dated, even if these jokes don't exactly land now, even if this hasn't aged well, not in like an offensive way, just in like it was a different era kind of a thing. It's like we were having fun then, you know? And I think it really helps to look back at your past self and not be so harsh to them, because, you know, that was just a kid. You were just trying your best. And I'm really currently, right now, in like a very transitional period in my own life, which is having me look back at a bunch of different past eras of my own life and really recognizing the Russian nesting doll that is age and how you carry every past version of yourself within you now. I think it's really important to remember that, and I think by us having such a huge culture around like archiving and watching old videos, because that's the thing. I don't think other, even just like YouTube fandoms, rewatch videos as much as we do. Like, it's a huge part of what we do here, like comparing the past to the present and all that kind of stuff. I think even just the idea of like, you can look back and you can say, that's not really what I'm like anymore, but you don't have to laugh at yourself and you don't have to be so mean to yourself, is really important, and it's really healing. Because here's the thing, I have been very harsh to myself and very hard on myself my whole life. Always have been. I have always struggled with being kind to myself, as I'm sure many of you have as well. This is not uncommon whatsoever. We're always our own worst critic. But I think being able to simultaneously be able to look at like my 13-year-old self from like across the table and also recognize that they are me at the same time is really useful, because all of the things that I said to myself back then are things that I would never say to a kid now who is that age, who is even doing or saying the same things that I was then, even if they're being a little cringy. Like, that's just a kid. And because I'm able to recognize that I should have been kinder to myself then and that I would never be as mean to that kid today, I think then it can help you start to realize that your future self is going to look back at you now and probably be a lot kinder to you than you are now. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. But I think one of the ways to sort of be nicer to yourself a little bit is to recognize that like time is weird. The past and present and future all simultaneously coexist, which is like a weird way to say it, but your future self is probably looking back on you right now through your own memories and going, why was I so mean to myself back then? I was trying my best. And I think it can be useful, you know, to think of it that way and to sort of embrace the cringe, because we had things that made us happy, you know? Okay, now getting into the cons. Do you like my little words as well, the little effects on them? I like them. Get it? The pros and cons had opposite aesthetics to what you would expect. I'm so quirky. Sort of on that same train as the last point, number 1 for cons is I'm even more cringy now. See, if we think about that 13-year-old doing and saying the things that I was then and being as obsessed as I was then, that could at the very least be excused with, well, that's just a 13-year-old kid. But I'm 23 now. It's not cute anymore. It's a little less cute for an adult with a degree to still be like, yeah, YouTubers, like, obviously I think it's more accepted now than it was before to just like have interests. But I mean, come on, I'm supposed to be going out into the real world and maturing and dropping the frivolous things from my childhood now. And, you know, maturing and having different tastes that are evolved and sophisticated, but I am not like that. I like all the same things as I did when I was a teenager, because guess what? I'm still the same person. But that's a huge con. I mean, embracing yourself and embracing who you are and not changing yourself for no reason. So cringe. I mean, come on. It's so embarrassing to have something that brings you joy. Cringe. Con number 2, I can't stop talking about them. I have not been able to stop for a year now, since they came back from the hiatus. Like I said yesterday, I never stopped watching them, but the obsession level has sort of gone up and down over the years, and right now it's back into full swing the way it was when I was like 14, 15 years old. And yeah, I can't stop talking about them. I have annoyed my friends, I have annoyed my family, I have annoyed not my coworkers because I'm unemployed, but I just can't stop talking about them at all times, or posting about them, or making videos about them. And you know what? It is just awful, because now the people in my life have a very clear idea of something that I like that they can then ask me about, and now we talk about things. I mean, come on, it's just awful that now people are very familiar with this thing that makes me really happy, and now we can talk about it and we have something to have conversations about, and they know what to bring up because they know it makes me happy. So annoying, am I right? Con number 3, I spent too much on merch. Okay, I don't have a way to spin this one. I'm gonna be so honest. I mean, the merch itself I like. I have quite a bit of it, as I showed in yesterday's video about my merch collection. When before I could be stopped simply because I had to ask my mom to get it for me. And she does still, you know, get some things for me. But, you know, now I have like my own bank account and money in that bank account. And I don't have to ask anyone to spend it, so I haven't been able to stop myself. Sometimes we make poor financial decisions. Listen, it's an investment. It's an investment in my own joy, okay? I cherish things. You know how much I love my trinkets or my clothing? Those are 2 things I love a lot. I take care of them. I keep them for years. I will literally wear a piece of clothing until it disintegrates off of my body, okay? I am the opposite of those influencers who buy a whole new wardrobe at the start of the year and then throw it away after they wear it on Instagram for once, okay? I'm the opposite of that. And I keep literally everything. Listen, I'm only gonna buy it if I know that I'll keep it, or use it, or look at it, or it'll make me happy. But yeah, it's probably been way too much money. There's no other way to put that. It's probably been way too much money. And last but not least, con number 4, the last one on this slide, sometimes too much nostalgia is a bad thing. I could get deeper into this, but if you focus a little too much on nostalgia, sometimes you can get trapped in the past. I've sort of experienced this before. I don't think it's exactly regression, but I think you start to really idealize the past, and it's important to remember that things like YouTube videos that you watched when you were a teenager were used as an escape then. You have to remember what you were escaping from as well. I know it's very easy to idealize the past, but you have to remember why you had coping mechanisms in the first place. And it's hard to think about the bad things. But I think if you start to get trapped in nostalgia a little too much, it can start to feel like your life now just pales in comparison, or what's wrong, or what happened. I don't normally have this problem, because my teen years were not fun. And nothing will make me forget that. But even without that, I think sometimes feeling a little stuck in the past can make you go a little bit crazy. However, what I think helps with that is not just looking back at old content, but being supplied with new content. So I think the fact that they are uploading again, like joint content, actually kind of helps with this problem of like maybe too much nostalgia, because things are better now. They seem much more comfortable and open now. A lot of us are much more comfortable and open now with the way that we joke around with each other, with the way that a lot of us operate through life, the fact that a lot of us are like independent now and adults, and we are building our own lives. That's a good thing. So the very fact that there are new things happening now that we can then compare to the past sort of helps with this problem. However, it is possible to feel even just like mentally a little bit like, oh, this is weird. It's definitely happened to me before. It's kind of a strange phenomenon to be like, oh, I literally felt like I was 14 again for a second there. Okay, that's weird. I don't quite know what that is. I don't have the expertise for it. But just remember, there are a lot of things that are better now. All right, now that we've gone through the main pros and cons, I sort of wanted to talk more about how they have affected my life in general. Meaning that this next slide is talking about how did info have made my life better? Like, specifically me personally, not just general pros and cons. Number one, they have made me feel accepted for who I am and be more comfortable with myself. I mean, I too, even just from the obvious, like, identity reasons, but I too am like a socially awkward, anxious nerd who has never been cool. And I sound like I'm insulting them. I'm not, I promise you. One of the things that really set them apart for me from other YouTubers and why I was so drawn to them wasn't even just the, like, unbeknownst at the time gaydar. It was like just the fact that their personalities are similar to mine, and they were never like trying to be cool, and they were never like the influencers that would make their life seem better or fancier or cooler than it was. Like, they weren't like flexing, you know. And I know that like sounds a little silly to say, but you have to remember the landscape back in the mid-2010s. I mean, I started watching them 2014. That was the year I turned 13. But it was just the fact that they were also like awkward and nerdy that, in addition to everything else, made me feel really comfortable around them, or at least in their digital presence. And that made me feel more comfortable with myself, because even just seeing someone with some similar personality traits to you and see that person be so loved, it helps, you know? It makes you feel better. And additionally, me having such a fondness for and attachment to them, and then seeing parts of myself in them and seeing parts of their personalities also in mine over the years, has really helped me look at those same traits and be like, well, I'm endeared by them when they have those traits, so I should like those traits within myself as well. Related to that, number two, it gave me a place to feel at home. I always felt really at home in the fandom. Like I said before, it's a lot of very similar people, you know? I feel like I kind of covered this, so I might move on to the next one already. I don't want this to be too long. And connected to that, it helped me connect with friends and make friends online who were often going through the same thing I was, and I had stuff in common with always. Literally, there's always someone you can talk to. And I have found people to talk to, which I think is just awesome, especially because I have had a kind of rocky history with friendships and maintaining friendships, and knowing that there are people in my phone I can talk to maybe supplement whatever is going on in my in-person life definitely helps. And last but not least, number four, it gave me an escape during my teen years, and actually during every era of my life beyond that too. This is something I'm going to cover very quickly, but I think it's important to have that escape, obviously, yes, but sort of similar to the whole, like, too much nostalgia can be a bad thing sometimes. I think too much escapism can also sometimes be a bad thing, but what I have found is this is a form of escapism that's really easy to bring into your reality, because it's not just about constantly finding things to escape to, because it can be a little distressing to constantly have to flee from your own life, but to create a life that you don't feel the need to escape from. I think that's like the most important thing. And that can sound really hard, especially because there's so many things that are not within your control whatsoever when it comes to your life circumstances. But I think something that is completely doable is to take the things that are escapism for you and bring them into your reality by doing things like talking about it, or making friends who also like that thing, or creating things, even if they're like just silly Tumblr posts and YouTube videos that have to do with that thing that you use as escapism, and talking to other people about the things you've created, and then looking at the things that those people have created and talking to them about it. So all of this hasn't just given me an escape, but it's a form of escapism that I then can bring into my real life, so I don't feel the need to just flee from it as much, you know? Plus, it has inspired me to create quite a lot, and I think the act of creation is just so foundational to what makes me feel human, that even making silly things like this is so incredibly fulfilling. And the fact that they can inspire me to do things like this makes me feel such a sense of gratitude, especially recently because I have been in a bit of a funk and they're basically the only thing I want to talk about right now. So it just makes me feel a really profound sense of gratitude. Wow, that was really sweet and kind and almost too sincere. We don't want to be sincere when talking about things. That's just embarrassing. You know how this is just the specific to me pros? Well, we gotta get to the specific to me cons. How Dan and Phil have made my life worse. They haven't. I mean, how could they? I mean, they're just YouTubers. Yes, YouTubers that I have a very strong parasocial connection with. But I mean, come on. It's just YouTube videos. And I just went on and on about all of the good things they've brought to my life and how even all the cons I mentioned are actually positive things. I mean, let's be real here. How could they have possibly actually had a negative effect on my life in any way possible? They made me more British. This is terrible. I don't think you understand how terrible this is. I'm American. We're supposed to be annoying in our own way. Thank you very much. What do you mean I'm more British? I started watching them at such a young and impressionable age and have been for 10 years now and have watched so much content that I actually picked up some of their mannerisms and forms of speaking as a lot of us did, which means that I have adopted a few Britishisms into my vocabulary, which is terrible. This is the only thing that I don't like. Because it just confuses people. It confuses people if I say hospital instead of the hospital, or if I say pavement instead of sidewalk, or if I call the trash can the bin instead of the trash can, even though it makes so much more sense to call it a trash can, because it's not the same as the bins that are like outside that you roll out to the garbage truck, because those are bins. The ones in your house are trash cans, obviously. And yet I will still catch myself calling them bins. Why? I don't know. It actually doesn't make sense to me. How dare they? Honestly, how dare they influence not just me being more kind and accepting of myself, but also sounding more British than I should. They are a terrible influence. How dare? Because honestly, why am I saying British things now? Because it's terrible. It's a terrible influence. Okay, all jokes aside, other than the fact that that wasn't a joke, I am genuinely very grateful for all of the positive things that they have brought into my life, and that all of you guys have brought into my life, as well as a lot of this is actually what other people in the fandom, or I guess other fannies. I'm from a long time ago. It took me quite a while to get used to the term fannie. We were just fandom members back in the day, if any of y'all watching remember. But no, Phannie is funny. A lot of this wasn't just them, but you guys as well. So I don't just want to say thank you to Dan and Phil, but thank you to all of you, especially people like my Tumblr mutuals who will be watching this video. You have made my life better and more enjoyable and happier. And you have given me something to look forward to. Thank you. Ah, this got too sincere again. Okay, let's go back to the cons. Why am I British? Cons. God damn it, it's too pastel and glittery. Why did I come up with things to spin? Why did I do that? Why has my forehead been cut off in this entire video? Oh God, don't pay attention to the fact that I completely forgot to put jewelry on today. Whoops. Anyway, end screen. You should like this video. I'm sorry, I was less prepared today. If you like this video, you should go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you really like this video, you should go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because I will have 8 more videos coming up within the next few days that I will upload on this very same subject, leading up to when I go see the Terrible Influence short for the first time ever. And I'll probably do a vlog of that as well, and also of the second time that I go to see it, in which I will be meeting them. So very fun. That's basically all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.